I'll be right back with it. Time out with Coach Kam. We shouldn't miss a minute. Yeah. I'll be right back with it. Time out with Coach Kam. We shouldn't miss a minute. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Time Out with Coach Kam. It's Cam Chancellor, and I am excited to get season 3 underway with a very, very special guest. I have Fox Sports 1 NBA analyst, former senior writer of ESPN, Bleacher Report, Cincinnati's own Walnut Hill graduate, Ric Bucher. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Good to be with you, man. I like the intro. That was
I
strong.
try to do the best I can
Damn, you got it going
to,
on.
to introduce you well there. Like I said, I really appreciate been watching on TV for years, man. Break down the NBA, so I really do appreciate you coming on and talking NBA and taking about 15, 20 minutes of your time. I really do appreciate it.
Happy to do it, man. As I told you when we first jumped on, anybody from the Natty and a coach on top of it and a basketball coach, got to do it.
Hey, I appreciate it. So we're gonna get straight into it. Um, the Lakers yesterday, the news came out that they added Patrick Beverley.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you is, with that addition, do you see the Lakers in a different light? And does this mean this could be the writing on the wall for Russ as far as other moves? Because you're talking about putting two people together, and they
Yeah.
simply over the past they just haven't liked each other.
Yeah, there's been some things said for sure. But are you going to let go Russ Westbrook because you acquired Patrick Beverley when you're so short on overall talent? I know that Russ is getting a bad beat right now in terms of the way things went last year, and this is honestly, this is what happens if you're a player and there's expectations and you're playing with LeBron and the team doesn't meet expectations. LeBron's probably not going to get the heat. Somebody else is probably going to get the heat. They probably didn't live up to it. And LeBron has the cover of, look, he scored. He was among the league's leading scorers when he played last year. So, but if you want to look at statistics, I mean, Russ's numbers, just statistics, the numbers weren't that bad. In fact, the numbers were kind of comparable to what he's done. Bottom line is, I would think that having Pat and Russ, particularly playing kind of the same position, that's going to be that's something really difficult for a first-year coach like Darvin Ham to navigate. I mean, you know this as well as anybody, man. You're just talking about high school egos and trying to make it work. Now you take that to the pros, that's a whole other story. So
yeah.
But it's where the Lakers are. Like, I like the addition of Pat Bev. I think he's the kind of player, he does the kind of things they need.
Mm-hmm.
But is he enough to make them title contenders? Not the way I look at Memphis or a healthy Clippers team. The Suns are still right there. The defending champion Warriors. I mean, that's 4 teams right there that I can't say, with Pat Bev, with Russ at his best, with even AD healthy, I'm not sure that they're like, can they compete? Would they be good? Yeah. All those things go right, they should be good. Yep. I think it'll be better than any of those 4 teams I just mentioned. I can't go that far.
Yeah, with Patrick Beverley, I think it does help them though. They need someone that's gonna, take control on the defensive end, which was very bad for the Lakers last year, especially on the perimeter. But what scares me with the Lakers is when Patrick Beverley comes in and he's your best 3-point shooter percentage wise. That's concerning. They have to get more shooters if they're going to make this work.
Yeah.
With Russell Westbrook, I just feel like you said, he takes a beating, but when you look at his stats, he took less shots, than what he normally takes. He shoots around the same percentage from 2 and 3. It wasn't much difference. It's just that with Russ is that before, in Washington or even Houston or OKC once KD left, he had a chance to cover up those mistakes by volume. Okay, I turn it over. I'm gonna come down this next possession, and I'm gonna get a dunk, or I'm gonna get a foul, or or a nice assist. But when you mess up on a possession with the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron's like, okay, give me that ball.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's enough. So
Yeah.
we just remember the turnovers and the bad play. But all in all, I think Russ can still help the Lakers. I really do. But that's that's gonna be interesting to see how that roster shapes out for sure. Um, moving on to another superstar here,
Hmm.
Kevin Durant. Now
Whew.
it seems like ever since the season's been over, we've been talking about Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He wants to be traded. Will he be traded? The demands. What how do you feel about that, especially with Kevin Durant kind of laying the groundwork, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you know what? Let's try to move forward with this, and let's try to make it work.
This is, I believe, what happens when you have great players who have their own platforms to say whatever they want, and they don't really have agents. Like, if you look at Kyrie has his stepmom who's his agent, and from everything I've heard, she's a very intelligent woman. I have no reason to believe she's not a good agent.
Right.
But is she experienced in kind of the politics and the dynamics of how do you protect your client, or would Kyrie listen to her even in terms of, hey, you know what, maybe we should stay off of social media, maybe we shouldn't broadcast Twitch, when we're on Twitch, like
Right.
all that stuff. I haven't covered the league as long as I have. Like, the craziness that we've seen from Kyrie and KD, like that craziness always kind of existed.
Yeah.
And this is what I appreciate, like talking to somebody, even, anybody who's a coach, who's on a team, like, there's craziness that goes on your team that never gets out. Right. But if someone knew, they'd think, oh my God, like who's running? Like, what's that? Really?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of that. Now take that. And we always say, money doesn't change you. It just makes you more of what you are.
What you are. Yep.
So you take it to the NBA and it just amplifies everyone and everything and what they do. And that's what I see with KD and Kyrie, is just like every time they change direction, it's being broadcast. And so they or being, publicized. And now the whole NBA goes, they zig, the whole NBA zigs with them, and then they zag and they go back and forth. And so it makes it look like it's crazy. And KD in particular, I mean, KD, like, he just changes his mind a lot, and his relationships go up and down a lot.
Yeah.
So do I look at KD any different? Not really. I wish at some point, I just have a feeling, Allen Iverson did this. He got to the end of his career and he looked back and he looked at some things that he wished he hadn't done and he hadn't said, and wished he played a little bit longer and like not let his ego get in the way. And I just feel like KD is going to have the same regrets. Like, he's going to go down as an all-time great player. Can't take away what he is as a player.
Right.
But there's just so many missteps that, again, I look at a guy like Steph. He's, first of all, just amazing player, right?
Yep.
Physically not in the category of KD or Kawhi or LeBron, right? Which makes him even more amazing in his way.
Yes, sir.
But what just blows me away about him is his ability to lead a team, and for all of the spotlight and all of the, like, behind the scenes criticism, and you're not this and you're not that, and the injuries, and KD carried you. Like, have you ever heard or seen Steph say or do the wrong thing? Like where you question, like, have you ever heard him come back at anybody who's undermining his part in those championships?
No.
Like
No. He just doesn't. It's almost a perfect superstar. He just doesn't.
It's crazy.
It doesn't care about it. He don't care about it.
He's never said or done, like, LeBron has to walk back certain things, right?
Right.
Has Steph Curry ever walked anything back? Has Steph ever had to say, no, I was misunderstood, or that's not what I meant? And it's not like he's not out there. It's not like he doesn't address situations. Yeah. So to me, look, you put me in any of their situations, I'm probably more KD than freaking Steph. Like,
exactly.
It's hard, man. It's hard to be perfect in the spotlight.
Especially when you see superstars with the power that they have in the NBA to go up and say, hey, I want to trade. And then before the season's over, or, they're out of there. It's like, why can't I do that as well?
Yeah, well, I think there's a combination. I think there's, first of all, the old time guys are like, well, we never do that, or da da da. Well, it was different then, man.
Yeah, definitely.
AAU introduced the idea of, I'm just going to go wherever I need to go to play with the best team possible.
Yep.
Like MJ didn't, Magic, those guys. Larry Bird played AAU when he was between Indiana and Indiana State. Because he just needed a place to play, but he was playing with he wasn't playing with players. He was playing with part-time guys. Yep. And so the model then was, you played for your high school, then you probably played for the best college team in your state. Mm-hmm. And then whoever drafted you, you didn't think about leaving. Like, that just wasn't in the mindset of anybody. Right?
Yep.
I mean, look at Magic. Grew up in Michigan, went to Michigan State, drafted by the Lakers. Never thought of going and play. Michael, Carolina, went to North Carolina. That's just the way it was. So there was that element introduced where, no, that's cool to go play with my friends or play with the best team I can possibly go to. And then the pressure of, okay, but if you do if you're a great player, you have to win championships. You have to win it all. I mean, look at Damian Lillard getting dragged in Portland for staying. Oh, he doesn't care about winning. No, dude, he's the king of the castle. He's like, let me see if I can win one here rather than go win one with LeBron or with Steph or KD, whoever. People are going to downgrade that. Like,
yep, we see what happened with KD.
Him, right?
Yep.
So meanwhile, Damian's got like a freaking $200 million shoe deal in Portland for the Blazers. Like,
right.
You want me to give that up to do what? To go get a ring because you say I need a ring?
Not at all.
But that's the pressure that guys feel, and depending on who they're listening to, like what gets through the funnel, they may be influenced by voices that aren't necessarily the best voices in the room.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You say you talk about back in the day, people basically stayed in one spot. Very rare trade demands, and if it was or any type of demands, if so, it was just to gain a little bit of leverage, maybe with a coach or something like that, with Magic and Paul Westhead, some little stuff like that. This Rudy Gobert trade seems to have messed up absolutely everything as far as the market for a superstar or a star player.
Yeah.
Things always go in circles, now, I know it'll never get back to where it was before as far as lack of player movement, but with that trade, giving up 5 picks for Rudy Gobert, is this where you will see now moving forward more superstars start to stay in one location because they're not going to go anywhere as far as via trade anyway?
It's a great question. I don't know that it's necessarily going to have superstar players wanting to go other places. I wonder how much what happens with Brooklyn affects teams' willingness to do whatever just to get a superstar player. And by the way, the Rudy Gobert thing, you're without question, has screwed up the KD market because they feel compelled. Like we have to get more than they got for Rudy Gobert, which is just a huge number. Now, the backstory to all that is the reason that they did it, and Tim Connolly is the one that came over from the Denver Nuggets, the GM. Everybody's looking at him like, you're a pretty good GM. Like, why did you do this? I'm told that deal was already in place or already well down the road when he got there.
Oh, wow.
And this is why. And this, I've been told this, and this makes plenty of sense. And this kind of explains the business of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how pumped and excited the Timberwolves were and their crowd was when they won the play-in game?
Oh, yes.
Just to get to the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, everybody was bagging on Pat Bev.
Right.
Right? Because of the way he reacted.
Yep.
But there's new ownership in Minnesota, and they saw that, and they were like, oh, we want more of that. Like, look at our fan base. They may be dragging Pat Bev, but our fan base was over the moon with that.
Right.
So if you look at Rudy Gobert's history in Utah, they always made the playoffs. Now, he's a liability or he can be a liability in the postseason when you play against the best teams, and they can kind of put a small big on him and draw him out. And now offensively, you don't know what to do with him. Like it creates problems for you that the Utah Jazz weren't equipped to have. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are better equipped to take advantage of Rudy Gobert because they have much more athletic wings. Like you gotta, that's going to help a lot with that. That was the problem with Utah, is that like you had to have Rudy in there and protecting the rim because they're going by Mike Conley and Bogdanovich and like all those cats. And so I think it's going to work a little bit better. But the reason that they broke the bank to get Rudy Gobert is not because they thought they were building a championship team. They were just, if we get Gobert and we got Anthony Edwards and we got the pieces that we have, we're going to be one of those teams that at the beginning of the year you go, oh, this is a playoff team.
Yeah.
Like, we may never win a title, but we're like back in the Kevin Garnett years where you could write it in, like forget pencil. Like you could take a Sharpie. We'll be in the playoffs. We may not get out of the first round, but we're guaranteed postseason games. And so they saw that and they were like, we're good. Like if we can do that for the next 6-7 years,
they're fine with that.
We're good. So that's why, for anybody wondering, like, why would you do that for Rudy Gobert? So two things. One, they think they fit better with him. And two, they're not trying to win at all. They just want to guarantee that they're going to be in the postseason every year. And I think with that logic, I understand it.
No, yeah, I definitely do. I maybe had thought for a second that they were looking at the Golden State Warriors and were saying, you know what? Why teams always try to out small ball them? I don't know why. You can't beat them that way. My favorite team, the Dallas Mavericks, failed miserably. You just can't out small ball Golden State. And I was just looking at them and they figure like, hey, you know, if we're ever going to contend or try to contend, let's just go big. Let's go big with Cat at the 4, Gobert at the 5. You have Anthony Edwards out there. You know, you have some youth. Why not just see if we can, you know, be more athletic than them and you know, and meet them at the rim so they're not getting free layups as well. That's why maybe I had thought, but that makes perfect sense what you said. That crowd went ecstatic and the owner's like, hey, you know, they're going crazy over a play-in win. If I can get to the second round, I'm in the house.
Dude, like Right. Exactly. It's where's the standard now, right? In
Yep.
in Minnesota, they'd be great, man. And you're right.
Yeah,
Second
they'd
round
be in
team,
heaven in Minnesota with a
man,
second
they'd
round.
be having a parade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real quick, because I know I gotta let you go. Two quick questions. One, put your GM hat on. If you start with any player, you got any player, you get to start your franchise with one right now. Who are you picking?
So I assume we're going young, right? I mean, this is
That's
a
fair.
franchise we're building,
Yeah,
right?
you're building for the future. You're putting together a team, and you have to have a star player, superstar player that you have to build around.
I'm going John Morant.
Woo, Ja.
I just think he plays the right position.
Hmm.
I'm influenced by I was in Salt Lake City for Summer League, and Ja was there for every game that they played and was sitting like at the end of the bench watching, encouraging, and not look. It's one thing for dudes like veteran players to show up in Vegas.
Right,
Hey, you don't have to twist anybody's arm to go to Vegas.
right. Yeah, they gonna go there
Salt Lake
regardless.
City is a different thing, man. You're showing up and you're showing out there. To me, that's impressive. And I just look at his game. I think he's got to find a way to score without always being up in the air. I worry a little
Yes,
bit about that,
yes.
but his leadership, his willingness to work, from everything that I get, like he's not trying to do my job as the GM, because that I'm telling you, man, that's important to me. If you want me, anytime I'm asked this question, you want me to be the GM, like you want to be the GM of LeBron? I'm like, not really, because
Yeah,
he's
that's
going to do
rough.
my job.
Yep, that's
And
a rough
and
job.
if he doesn't do my job well, I'm going to get fired.
Yep.
So I'd rather win or lose based on my decisions.
Mm.
And I just look at the box office appeal of Ja, the leadership, what he's already done, his willingness to work, and the way the game's played now, and the position he plays. That's the guy that I'm going with.
Real quick, I'm going with. I think I'm going with Luka. That's probably a
Okay. Okay.
bias opinion for me. It's my
No,
favorite
I'm
team.
I'm good with that. I'm good with
I'm
that.
probably full blown bias with Luka. Just because I can see his game aging gracefully.
Yeah.
With Ja, that scares me. Especially he just takes so many risks up in the air. It's kind of remind me of D Wade. How they
D Rose.
I think yep, and Derrick Rose. I know Jordan used to try to tell Dwayne Wade stay up off the floor. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Don't take so many. And it just seems like I see Ja Morant every time he finishes a layup, dunk, or anything he on the floor.
Yep.
And that's concerning. But Ja is very, very good. Both of the players that we mentioned can make others around them better. And like you said, almost about when Kevin Garnett was in Minnesota. Long as they're there, I think you can pencil them in for a playoff
It's
for a
what your
playoff spot.
pick of Luca also. That's the coach in you coming through, man.
It is. It definitely is.
Because you can like he can do so many different things, and
Yep.
and fundamentally all the stuff that he does, like I get that's not a bad thing. My only concern with Luca is his ability to defend his position
That's
is
fair.
like, and we've seen guys who like you just have to be good. I just think he can get much better, and I think Jay Kidd is the perfect coach for him
Bingo.
because that was a defense was a hallmark of Jay. Great passer, also great defender, and I saw him. I mean, when they won the 2011 title in Dallas, he was guarding Dwayne Wade and LeBron James.
Sure was.
At 36, 37. I mean,
Crazy.
so there's a way you don't have to be like a physically dynamic a player to be able to defend at a really high level. And I think that's the missing piece. I would expect that Luka's going to get there, but that's my one hesitation. Like, sometimes it's easy when you carry as much offensive responsibility as he does to slow play that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you what I can give you at the other end.
Right. Yeah, especially with J Kidd because he came out numerous times during the playoffs and said, he got to put that effort in on the defensive end too. So I do like that how he keeps him accountable. Last thing before I let you go, Mr. Bucher, our Bengals, man, we finally got some
Yeah.
playoff
Yeah.
wins. Got us to the Super Bowl. Fortunately, that loss hurt. I still don't think Logan Wilson held, but hey, it's over. We're into a new season now. But because I saw you on Speak for Yourself, and you was
Yeah.
like, what can go wrong will go wrong. So you was
Yeah.
kind of a little nervous.
I'm nervous, dude. I'm nervous. Look, I've been around a little bit longer than you have.
You're right.
I just I hope we can keep this going.
I know.
And I'm optimistic, and we like Joe Burrow's the real deal, and Mixon, and I think people underestimated Zach Taylor and what he's.
Yeah,
I mean, look,
did.
he's growing, he's learning, he's going to make mistakes, but
Mhm.
I really think that the relationship, allowing the relationship to cultivate between him and Joe is going to be real vital to where this team goes. And it, from everything I hear, my man TJ Hushmanzada's like still got ties into the building, and he's like, no, they're gonna spend some money and they're ready to do the deal. So I am cautiously optimistic, but like, you are not going to see me like waving a flag. Woo! Here we go. We got a Super Bowl coming, like all that. I'm like, no. Can we win the division? Like, let's win the division. Let's get back to the playoffs. Let's win another playoff game. Let's keep this thing rolling. But look, I just from a professional standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
to do what I do and to have the opportunity to talk about the Bengals in a meaningful way. Oh my God, I'll take that, because that has not been the case in a long. People were like on these shows, they'd say, "So, who's your team?" Right? Because they didn't know where I was from. Like, who's your team? I was
Put
like,
your head down.
Bengals.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I'm not like Gary Owen, man. Gary Owen,
Yeah,
like,
he out there full fledged no matter what.
He's wearing no stripes no matter what. Yeah, he's crazy talk. But
Yeah, and that's why I say, like, even if I do see us getting a Super Bowl in the Joe Burrow era. I really do.
Yeah.
And it may not be this year. It's hard to go back to back, but if we could go to the playoffs, win a playoff game, and just keep let people, like, let yourself know and let the NFL know, like, we're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
We're still here. Because I was at the joint practice, not yesterday when they were rumored about the fights and everything. I was there Wednesday,
Okay.
and the defense looks good. They have a lot of depth there. I'm a little bit concerned about the depth. I think the starters on the offensive line is fine, but I do feel like you're maybe one injury away where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what I mean? So maybe hopefully after preseason they get some depth there on the offensive line. But I think they're already, locked and loaded, ready to go, man.
Well, here's the other thing too. Like, the AFC is a beast.
Oh yeah, it is.
I
It is.
mean, man, there are just so many good teams and good quarterbacks.
Yep.
You look at the NFC, freaking Tom Brady's living a charmed life again. Like,
Yep.
the
Yep. He
Rams
finds
to
a
worry
way.
about. That's about it.
Yep.
Like,
He finds a way to get a. It seems like not an
that's a
easy
whole other
ride.
story. That's a
Yeah, a whole
other
nother story and stuff that we could talk about forever. But
Yeah.
I want to thank you, man. I appreciate it for you coming on the show today. Definitely learned a lot from you, and I appreciate it. You taking 30 minutes of your time today. So I really, really appreciate you.
Hey, my pleasure. And you have a great show, Coach. Keep it up, man. I mean, people don't understand. A lot of times, guys want to do this that don't necessarily do it full time or aren't professional. You have a professional show here, and
Thank you.
the having all of the technical stuff work and all of that. This is one of the easiest things I've ever had to do. I'd be happy to come on and do it again. We'll maybe toward the end of the year, we'll see where the Bengals are, and we'll come back and we'll do it again.
Absolutely, definitely. Because I know the NBA season's coming up. You'll be busy, but if we'll link up again, we'll definitely do this again. And I thank you a lot.
Sounds good. Good luck this season, Coach.
Thank you, everyone. Ric Bucher, everyone. Time out with Coach Kam. We're out.